This girl had been apart from her boyfriend for a year. Meeting him again today, she suddenly felt an unusual stirring in her heart. She jumped into the water, swimming stroke by stroke after him toward a rock jetty hidden from view. Once ashore, she stripped off her clothes, lay on her side to dry, waiting for him to come so they could kiss passionately and roast sweet potatoes together. However, their love story stretches on like a novel. If you want to know whether she ends up pregnant, please stay tuned for today's movie. This couple had a long-distance relationship in different cities. Although they texted and chatted daily, the distance still left Rachel feeling lonely. The window in her room was still the same, but her boyfriend was no longer in the castle. Aries came from a prestigious family, while Rachel's family was just barely making ends meet. One day, he sent Rachel a pair of premium headphones. Looking at his photo, her imagination went wild. She saw Aries walking into the classroom, the two of them being intimate, completely ignoring everyone else around them. This was their way of making up for the hardship of long-distance love. But it was also inconvenient. A fully packed school schedule started pulling things off track. Aries began to have doubts, wondering whether he truly loved Rachel or was just maintaining the relationship out of habit. Their calls grew less frequent for various reasons. Rachel was even called out by her teacher for spending the whole year glued to her phone instead of studying. The next day, Aries unexpectedly returned to the city. Taking advantage of Sunday, he brought Rachel to his family's mountain villa for a getaway. Having not seen her for so long, his yearning was intense. He rushed to undress his lover. Just as they were about to get intimate, noises came from inside the house. Aries had to postpone his pleasure and investigate. It turned out his younger brother had also brought his girlfriend there to roast sweet potatoes. Their private date was completely ruined, and soon their friends showed up as well. The couple could only exchange loving glances. But after a while, Aries couldn't hold back anymore. He swam over to Rachel, led her to a private room, and they made love, having not cleaned his weapon for months. Aries fired all his bullets after just a few thrusts. To cover it up, he claimed it was because he missed Rachel too much, but she insisted on a second round. Meanwhile, in the room next door, Aries' brother Romies had just finished devouring a massive 50-pound oyster. Claudia, the daughter of a household maid, had lived with Aries' family since childhood. Though Romies deeply loved her, he had to hide their relationship. When his younger brother suddenly knocked on the door, Romies hurriedly rolled under the bed to avoid being seen. Luckily, Apollo only came to borrow a pack of cigarettes before leaving. Claudia was heartbroken. She had lost count of how many times she had given herself to Romies. Yet he still refused to acknowledge her publicly. When she angrily tried to leave, Romies stopped her, begging for more time. Though his words were vague, Claudia felt comforted, and their kiss revealed her overflowing happiness. Later, when everyone gathered, Artemis decided he would announce his relationship with Claudia. But just as he was about to speak, their parents suddenly arrived. The family hotel in Greece had been flooded. So Sophia decided to move their vacation to the villa after seeing the kids hanging out on Facebook. Once again, Romies lost the chance to confess. As night fell, Rachel sat outside with her laptop, hesitating about whether to send her novel manuscript. At that moment, IOC messaged her, encouraging and supporting her, as he had always silently done for years. At dawn, Aries took Rachel into town. She stopped by a shop to buy some drinks and unexpectedly ran into Gregory, a classmate. Not knowing Aries was her boyfriend, Gregory openly expressed his admiration for Rachel and even revealed he had been pursuing her for 6 months. Aries pretended not to mind, but inside he was unsettled. To reassure him, Rachel followed him into the water. After swimming toward a hidden rock, she stripped off her clothes and lay sideways to dry. Aries, distracted, caught a crab and began snacking on shellfish. After some playful fun, they returned to the boat, where they coincidentally met Vera, Aries' classmate, who was also vacationing nearby. Warmly, Vera invited them to stay for a meal. The atmosphere at dinner grew tense as Vera enthusiastically recounted stories about Aries. Meanwhile, IOC's group kept exchanging looks, reminding each other why they had always opposed Rachel dating Aries. Their backgrounds were too different, and they feared Rachel would suffer and her writing career would falter. At a bar later, Daniela stirred up more trouble. Irritating Rachel, she carried 2 glasses of water over to Vera, and the two chatted lively, while Aries looked on with obvious worry. Back in their room, he questioned her. Rachel dismissed it, saying it was nothing. Just then, Daniela texted a photo of Vera's red shirt, circled, with the question, "Isn't this Aries' shirt?" Rachel froze, staring at the clothes rack. It was indeed his. Shocked, she locked herself in the bathroom, convincing herself they were just friends. But things only got worse. The next day, the group took a speedboat to a secluded beach. There, Gregory told Rachel that Aries had just introduced Vera as his girlfriend. Enraged, Rachel kissed Aries in front of everyone to assert her claim. Later, as Aries went swimming, she urged him to stay with her, but he said he was too tired and wanted a nap. Furious, Rachel stormed into the sea. Gregory seized the chance to badmouth Aries further, claiming he had secretly dated Gregory's ex-girlfriend for 2 weeks before moving on. Yossi, observing, was pleased. Their plan to sow discord was working. Suddenly, Gregory's sister appeared, asking Yossi out. Surprised, Yossi still refused and jumped off a cliff to avoid the situation. Meanwhile, Claudia, upset, returned to town. Aramis went after her but caught sight of her happily chatting with another man, making him furious and storm off. As for Raquel, ever since returning from the beach, suspicion clouded her mind. Seeing Aries standing next to Vera became unbearable. She downed a bottle of wine, leapt up, and loudly suggested everyone play a game of truth or dare. Aries questioned Raquel why she suddenly suggested playing the game. She brushed it off, saying it was just for fun. The spinning bottle stopped right in front of Anna, and without hesitation, she crawled over and kissed Yossi instead of answering the question. Embarrassed, Yossi's face turned red, making an excuse. He tried to slip away, whispering to his younger brother not to stand at attention at such a critical moment. "I have to be upstairs helping Raquel," he said. Just then, the door suddenly swung open. Anna had come down. At that point, Yossi could no longer resist, letting himself get swept away in the cramped little space, as if fresh firewood had just been shoved into a burning furnace. Meanwhile, at the Artemis estate, Aramis scolded Claudia, ordering her to bring him a glass of wine like a servant. As she handed it to him, he pretended to spill it, forcing Claudia to wipe the mess. When Sophia walked in, she accused Claudia of imitating her hair color, even though Sophia herself had dyed it first. Claudia couldn't hold back anymore. She stood up and lashed out. Immediately, Aramis raised his voice, demanding that she quit. Claudia said nothing, just went upstairs to pack her things. On her way past the car, she decisively snatched the keys and threw them into the bushes. Back on the yacht, the game continued, and after a few questions the truth was revealed. Vera had once slept with Aries. Returning to her room, Raquel burst into tears, once again seeking comfort in her childhood friend's arms. Aries came to beg Raquel to let him explain. Daniela urged Yossi to leave the room but then pulled him aside to eavesdrop. Aries explained that on the night of the shirt incident, he had been completely drunk. When he woke up, he found himself lying next to Vera, both of them accidentally wearing each other's clothes. Though furious, Raquel still sat down to listen. She realized that Aries had endured a turbulent year, yet she could not forgive him. Why hadn't he confided in her instead of Vera? Wanting time alone to think, she walked out, only to find Yossi and Daniela right outside the door. Yossi slyly winked at Aries. Soon after, Anna approached Yossi, showing him the lighthouse keys and hinting at setting off low fireworks together. Awkward and conflicted, Yossi declined, saying he was busy with the party. Anna left disappointed, knowing Yossi was letting happiness slip through his fingers just for Raquel. That evening, the beach was crowded with people celebrating. Fires blazing and laughter everywhere. Only the three wealthy brothers sat apart, sighing gloomily. For the first time in ages, Yossi was with his two closest friends again, like a brittle stick tossed into the flames. He danced recklessly to the music, while Raquel and Daniela took turns teasing him. When the music ended, tears were already rolling down Yossi's cheeks. Embarrassed at being caught, he excused himself to get more drinks and slipped away. At the same time, Apollo persuaded the eldest brother to join the festivities, leaving the second brother sulking alone. Thankfully, Vera came to check on him. For the first time, Apollo stepped out of his comfort zone, openly showing affection to Daniela in front of everyone. Outside, Artemis accidentally met the man he had once seen with Claudia, realizing too late that the man was already married. Only then did Artemis understand he had wrongly blamed his girlfriend. Meanwhile, by the pool, Vera confessed to Aries that the night they swapped shirts, they had only slept in the same bed. Nothing more. Relieved, Aries went to find Raquel, only to see her with Gregory, carrying drinks. Yossi stopped in his tracks, realizing with painful clarity that even without Aries, Raquel would never belong to him. Looking toward the lighthouse, he guessed Anna must be there. Without delay, he took the car keys and drove off. Unfortunately, a group of children picked a fight and chased after him. Yossi accelerated, glancing back, not watching the road. At a curve, he crashed. Aries noticed something was wrong from the faint light of fireworks and quickly sped out on a canoe. Daniela rushed to tell Raquel that Yossi had been in an accident. Aries, who had studied medicine, immediately attempted first aid, but Yossi's injuries were too severe. He did not survive. Raquel arrived, sobbing uncontrollably, her throat choked with grief. At the funeral, she screamed that Yossi should be dressed in black. When Aries tried to console her, she lashed out. "He was my friend, what does it have to do with you?" She even blamed Aries for failing to save Yossi. Holding back his emotions, Aries admitted, "If I hadn't buried my head in my phone for the past year, maybe I could have saved him." Raquel accused him of implying it was her fault. Aries said no more, only pointing out that Raquel had left Yossi alone to be with Gregory. Hearing this, Raquel had no defense. Quietly, she turned back to the church. In her eulogy, Raquel recalled Yossi's words, "Boyfriends come and go, but friends are forever." She looked at Aries and apologized to Yossi. "I'm sorry for giving my time to someone unworthy." Hearing this, Aries silently left the funeral, realizing their relationship was beyond repair. The next day, Raquel opened her laptop and saw an email from a publishing house. They wanted to publish her manuscript. Through the window, she discovered it was Yossi who had sent her draft. Posing as her agent, reading the email, Raquel burst into tears. She rejected Gregory, who was waiting downstairs, closed her window, and devoted her heart entirely to the memory of her late best friend. These were the final events of the movie Through the Window, Across the Ocean. Stay tuned for the next video. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.